Hello and welcome back for another Torah Tuesday. Today we're going to finish chapter 18, Jethro's visit to Moses just before he got to Mount Sinai. And as usual, I'll begin by reading my translation from the Hebrew text. We're picking it up in verse 19, but this is mid-speech of Jethro, so if you didn't watch last week's video, I would encourage you to pause this one and go back and watch that one first. Exodus 18, verse 19. Now listen to my voice. I will advise you, and may God be with you. You will represent the people before the deity, and you will bring the matters to the deity. You are to warn them of the statutes and the instructions, and you are to instruct them in the way they are to walk, and the work that they must do. But as for you, you must identify from all the people capable men who fear God, men of truth who hate unjust gain. Set over them officials of thousands, officials of hundreds, officials of 50s, and officials of 10s. Let them always judge the people. Every large matter they shall bring to you, but every small matter they shall judge themselves. So it will be lighter for you, and they will carry the load with you. If you do this, and God commands you, then you will be able to stand up, and every one of these people will also go home in peace. Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law, and he did all that he said. Moses chose capable men from all Israel. He set them as heads over the people, officials of thousands, officials of hundreds, officials of 50s, and officials of 10s. They always judged the people. The difficult matters they brought to Moses, but the small matters they judged themselves. Then Moses sent away his father-in-law, and he went by himself to his land. All right. The first thing to notice about Jethro's advice to Moses is that Moses was supposed to be a mediator, not a judge. Moses was not the one making decisions. He was passing along the decisions that God gave to him. Prayer was his most crucial vocation. Jethro tells him to identify leaders, and the word he uses for identify is chazah, which is from the noun jose, which means to see. But usually this kind of seeing takes place in prophetic contexts, seeing a visionary experience from God or having some kind of prophetic sight. So it seems here to suggest that Moses is going to need divine guidance as he determines who will lead the people, who will fulfill these roles, and as he chooses these men. It is clear from the text that Jethro is suggesting he choose men. This is gender specific, anshe chayil, capable men. The word chayil is often used to describe warriors, but sometimes it's used to describe people who have a certain skill set, not necessarily military skills. So you can look at Genesis 47 verse 6 or Nehemiah 8 verse 6 for examples of that. There are a couple of places where chayil is used to describe a woman. Proverbs 31:10 is one example. The famous Proverbs 31 woman is an eshet chayil, a woman, a capable woman or a noble woman. And then Ruth chapter 3 verse 11, Boaz refers to Ruth as an eshet chayil, a capable woman. So it's not just men who can be capable, women can be as well. I think it's worth noting, because clearly we have a male leadership structure being set up here. It's worth noting that up until this point, women have been very involved in God's work in this book. We've had the midwives, the daughter of Pharaoh, the daughter of Levi, the sister of Moses, Zipporah, who've all acted very capably to rescue Moses and to set things right. We've had Miriam reappear again in chapter 15 with an important role of leading the people in song. And I think it's just worth pointing out that Jethro is a Midianite priest, and this is his idea about who should be leading. This is not presented as divine command. Moses takes the advice, but it is the advice of his father-in-law, not the word of God from on high. So I think it's good that he listened, but I do wonder if God had given him this command, would it have been broader? Would there be women who also were appointed to lead? It's a possibility. The men that Jethro commends to Moses would be God-fearing men, not one who's thinking about himself, but thinking about acting in the fear of God. Just this is the same descriptor of the midwives in chapter 1. They feared God, and so they didn't obey Pharaoh. You need that kind of leader for the people. They're supposed to be men of truth, not easily swayed by lies, not putting spin on things, men of truth who hate unjust gain. They should not be able to be bought by bribes. These men should be committed to doing the right thing, making the right decision, regardless of any self-interest. The result of appointing these men is going to be a chain of command that goes all the way down to 10 leaders of just 10 people at a time. Obviously, this is not a full-time job. You might think of it kind of like an RA or resident assistant in the dorm. You've got maybe an RA with 10, say a female RA with 10 women under her, and then you've got a floor, like maybe a resident director or a floor leader, and then a leader of the whole building, and then you've got the director of student development on up to the president of the college. So you've got many different layers of leadership in a college situation. Or you could think of a department chair, who it's not a full-time job to be department chair. The department chair of my department also writes books and teaches classes and does all the things that faculty do, but he has some administrative responsibilities in addition to those regular faculty responsibilities. And then above him is another chair, and above him is another chair, and above him is a dean, and then a provost, and then a president. So similarly, we have a kind of chain of command here with Moses as the final arbiter. Jethro's last word in his speech to Moses is the word peace. They will be able to go home in peace. The word peace appears 3 times in Exodus. This is the third and final time, and all 3 times it's Jethro. It's associated with Jethro. So that seems significant because there is this peaceful relationship between Moses and Jethro. It's not filled with angst or competition or conflict in any way. Moses' teachability led to a more sustainable structure that prevented burnout for himself and for the people. At the very end of this scene, Moses sends Jethro away, and the sending away of Jethro echoes verse 2, where it talked about the sending away of Zipporah. So now here in retrospect, we can see that the sending away should not be taken as a kind of breach or divorce or something, some kind of conflict, unresolved conflict. This is just a positive, okay, thanks for your visit, have a nice trip home. Jethro leaves peacefully. The last word he says is peace. Moses is grateful. He takes his advice. So they have a positive relationship. So I think this tutors us in how to understand the sending away of Zipporah at the beginning of the chapter. We also notice that Jethro leaves alone. He doesn't bring Zipporah and her sons back with him. He leaves by himself. And I think that this whole story and Jethro's leaving at the end points to the possibility for positive diplomatic relations with other nations without assimilation. So Jethro doesn't have to become an Israelite in order to have a positive relationship with the Israelites. And I think there are larger implications here for the possibility of international relations. And again, this reminds me of God's words to Abram in Genesis 12, through you all nations will be blessed. He leaves with Moses' blessing, and there is a sort of mutual enrichment. I will bless those who bless you. That's what we're seeing play out here in the relationship with Jethro. As I mentioned in a previous video, this contrasts sharply with the not so positive relationship with the Amalekites in chapter 17. So whoever curses you, I will curse, and whoever blesses you, I will bless. So we get both of those exhibited side by side in the book of Exodus. And that brings us up to the arrival at Mount Sinai. So we are kind of at the hinge point now in the book of Exodus. You've journeyed with me for many, many weeks to get here. Thanks for sticking with me. If you're enjoying this series, share it with a friend who's similarly nerdy and wants to dig deep into Exodus, and we'll keep trucking along. Have a great week.